Rock, rock, rock.
What's great, y'all? I'm Henry Rock Johnson, and you are now tuned in to Rock Radio. I got my brother and my co-host Thrizz13 with me. Don't forget the 1-3. On this episode, all my independent artists, tap in with us. We are going to discuss distribution of music. Just not any way, though. We're going to give you a step-by-step instruction guide on how to release music on LANDR and DistroKid. Now, Thrizz, you on DistroKid. Like, what made you choose that, and how has that been integral to releasing your music?
Well, when I first got introduced to distribution, I went through a lot of the options. And what was most attractive to me about DistroKid is the fact that I have the ability to essentially release as many tracks as I want to. Having the ability to do that at any time, even though you may not do that, you never know. There could be a year where you have an abundance of content come out, whether that be features or you go on a run where you drop some mixtapes. I know the game right now is talking about singles, but
Yeah.
okay, so let's say you wanted to do a single every month. DistroKid will give you the ability to do that. Whereas I noticed that some of the other ones would charge you per release, and it just seems like that was a little bit too much. I like the flexibility of being able to just for the entire year, I can do what I want. I don't have to go back and you know ask for permission or pay to release my things. So,
And this is the beauty of the digital distribution, that you can do it on your own. There are a plethora of services, CD Baby, TuneCore,
mhm,
LANDR, and DistroKid, that allow you just to pay a fee
mhm,
and to do it on your own. So that's opened up a lot of lanes for independent artists. I want to say for me personally, I chose LANDR because LANDR at first didn't even have distribution services. At first, it was just strictly like Splice, like a
yeah,
sounds service.
right,
So what they did and what attracted me as a producer, they bundled everything together because you had the mastering aspect as well. You have mastering, you have
yep,
sounds,
mhm,
and you have distribution,
mhm,
all for $20 a month. So it's like I'm in the state where I always had things to use with that service. And as long as you abide by the guidelines with like your cover art and stuff like
yeah,
that, and make sure that you put your paperwork in right, your splits and everything in there
mhm,
right, then it's pretty seamless. I tried TuneCore. I'm actually a fan of their publishing
uh-huh,
aspect, but as far as the release, it was a little bit challenging for me.
mm.
So I went back to LANDR, and I pretty much been using LANDR ever since.
Also with DistroKid, see, you have some of these different amenities that you get. With DistroKid, they also they have Bandzoogle. So I discovered that Bandzoogle is actually owned by whatever company that owns DistroKid, but it's not under the same. It's under the same holding company or whatever, but different
Right.
companies for both. But I didn't know that those two things that they were linked. DistroKid also gives you a phone number, like a cell phone number where you can talk and with your fans and things like that to create community.
Also, like how Mike Jones had the 281-330-8004.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that's definitely dope, man. And I didn't know that. So for like LANDR, you can pay by the release or by the month, and I think it's more
hmm
sense to pay by the month.
Interesting enough, we're having this discussion about Lander and DistroKid. To my knowledge, Lander has actually been running some ads. They probably heard our conversations, but they've came across and they've came directly at DistroKid. Why would I want to pay such and such to release? You heard me. I said I like the ability to be able to release as many songs as I want throughout the year. Whereas they're using that in the ad language as if that's a lot. Now, what you do run into with DistroKid is you have when you um, when you release something, there's a button that you can push where it stays forever. But you have to pay a little extra for it to
What you
just.
talking about, the release or?
So if your subscription with DistroKid uh, basically ends and you're not paying, then they, to my knowledge, will remove your tracks. Now your codes and all of those things still stay the same,
Okay.
and that you will still get the tracking, but at the same time, um, they will remove your music unless you pay for it to exist forever.
Okay. And these talk about ISRC codes.
So when I first started, I went in. I'm actually an ISRC code registrant.
Okay.
So
Maybe we
um,
do a video on that
yeah,
sometimes in the
we'll
future too.
we'll we'll do a video for you guys on that too. I can show you the back end. It's a little tricky. It's not too much, but it's the basics. You really have the responsibility of being your publishing admin and just staying in control of all of your catalog and your numbers and whatnot. You just become responsible for that when you are the ISRC code registering and you have your specific code. Interesting enough, uh, I have that code is on my tracks that I had with DistroKid. So I don't know if there's like some type of system where I already was in there and it
Mm-hmm.
existed, but that was interesting to me once I found that out. But that also gives me the ability to be a publishing admin for others because I can distribute codes. So
All right, so let's get into this step-by-step tutorial. So you'll see this screen first. And you're gonna sign up if you haven't signed up already. But in the case of me, we're just gonna log in. And when you log in, it'll look something like this. You'll have your samples you can browse. You can master your tracks. And the cool thing about it, you can master your tracks and then shoot them straight to distribution. Because in this situation, you're going to have WAV files. So whatever DAW that you use to export your music, make sure they're in WAV files. But if it's not, it's cool. Uh, with the subscription, you get WAV file. You get a certain amount of WAV files too. So the first thing you will do is start a release. You can see right here some of my releases that I have under LANDR. You can release a whole album, or you can release singles as well. Let's go to add release in the upper right hand corner. So right here, you're going to add a track. You just want to make sure that it's not like a podcast, or they're not going to ask you this down the road. They're going to ask you, is it lyrics? Is it not? So you're just going to go ahead and then just add whatever track you have here. I'll just do this one. You got to make sure it's a wave. So they're going to ask you if you have an ISRC code or has it already been released. They'll let you add different versions to it.
okay.
Instrumental, radio, edit, remix, or live. So this is just an instrumental. I'm gonna leave it alone. They let you choose what genre you want, and for the social media websites, whatever clip that you wanted to display. So I'll just say 1 minute for the sake of this video. I'll put it at 1 minute. And when it gets a preview for the track, it's going to start at 1 minute. So you scroll down, who's the artist? In this case, Henry Rock Johnson. This right here, if you have any features. So if you were on this track, Brother Thrizz, I will put you right here in this part. But if you don't have any features, then you don't have to worry about this. Anybody that remix it for you and any other contributors.
Really? So now with those remixers, are they distributing codes to the remixers? Do you know?
No, not offhand.
Okay.
We'll get into that in another video.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know your producer, in the case I'm a producer, you put that in right there. This is important right here. This lyrics right here, because you want to make sure if you're just releasing the instrumental. So everything you see on from my page is strictly instrumentals. So in this case, I would say no. But if you have lyrics, you hit yes. And are they explicit or not explicit, or is it clean language? And then you will add the lyricist. So composition right here, is it your original song or is it a cover? If it's a cover, they will provide you a one-time licensing fee from the HFA Harry Fox Agency. Allows the original songwriters to get paid. Or if you took the time and had the resources to get the license yourself, then you can click right here.
Now, I don't need a license. I only distribute on streaming platforms. So that means, so are they saying that you can get paid with a cover song license?
Yes, we apply a mechanical license, which will allow the original songwriters to get paid.
And
And you have yes.
Performer, as a performer.
Yes.
Dope. Okay.
So this right here, where you will put the original track.
Mm-hmm.
Certain licensing restrictions, they won't have it in certain countries.
Mm-hmm.
So licensed content right here. This is important because this may affect how you'll be able to get monetized on YouTube and TikTok. And they're very strict about what's used on their platforms.
Right.
And this is a new one, AI tools usage. We talked about this in one of our previous episodes.
Wow.
About AI taking over music.
Do you feel that, what do you think that's about right here with the AI tools usage? Do you think they're going to discredit or, yeah, do you think that gets into how much we get paid out as producers and
I
artists?
definitely do. I think that'll diminish the value to an extent.
It's already, the value's already down.
That's going to diminish it even more.
And that makes me think about just the direct to consumer route and truly cultivating your fan base. Because, but the other thing is we don't use AI, but it's like, what are they gonna do? Like run a scan and be like, oh, this is
Oh
AI.
yeah, definitely. They already do it for in the colleges when it comes to like papers and stuff, because a lot of the college students might chat GPT a whole research project,
Mm-hmm.
and the teachers have to run and the professors have to run it through these programs that show if it's been AI edited, AI generated or not. So after all that madness, you want to go ahead and confirm all the necessary rights and save. Sometimes
Interesting.
you'll get errors detected, so you'll fix it. So track language, rock radio, and then English. hell you gonna say hip hop? Don't forget to add your composure. Where's that at? So after you have all that taken care of, you hit next. Go to release information. Got the composition owner. Who owns the masters? Who owns the masters? The year of composition. Who owns the masters? Has this release been distributed before? And do you have a label? In that case, yes. Roc music. Or if you don't, it's okay. It's okay if you don't have a label. You hit next. Cover art. This is real tricky right here. It's not too much. It's not rocket science, but you have to make sure that it's a perfect square and that it's at least 1600 by 1600 pixels. If it is not 1600 by 1600 pixels, they will reject it. If you have any type of QR code, anything, they will reject it. If you have any of your social media names on there or IG handles, they will reject it. Also, no brand references and pornographic images, stuff like that. I believe they do have the tools on here. See, my cover art does not meet the requirements. I use Canva for mine. We'll come back to that one. So when you go to release settings, you have Apple Music, iTunes, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, and over 100 other major stores. Now, this is the part where I told you from earlier why they ask you all these questions about if everything is original. Because if you want to monetize, you want to make sure you have the exclusive rights. You want to make sure that it's distinct content. It's a single piece. It's not a DJ mix or a countdown list or stuff like that. This is a musical work that you're releasing. You're not releasing an audio book on here or stuff like that to get monetized. And no other monetization service being used. You see, they take this very seriously. They let you know. They don't be playing with that. So you meet the monetization requirements, you'll be good to go. I've been seeing a lot of this make more money with your music through AI. Allow LANDR to use your tracks for the AI training. I usually skip over this, but maybe we'll do another AI episode to talk about how these changes have affected the release of the music. So this is your live options. Do you want to go live within a week, or do you have a specific date? I usually like to choose a specific date, and this is anything past 2 weeks from now. So if you don't care, click as soon as possible. Me, I kind of like to give myself time to promote. You can restrict your release to certain country. Beware of fraudulent promotion services. We gotta watch out for the bots, dog. So this is the review right here. Yeah, I know we ain't got no cover art, but this is the last page you should see before hitting submit for a release. It has everything you need on it. And then right before you hit submit, you give LANDR the rights to distribute. All right, Thrizz, show us something about DistroKid, sir.
Okay. Now, interesting enough, seeing your back end, was interesting. I feel that DistroKid is a little more simpler, but
let us see,
we shall see.
And if you guys have different experiences with your distribution services, leave it in the comment below. Like if you use CD Baby, if you use TuneCore, and it sounds simpler than LANDR or DistroKid, just let us know. Please and thank you. All right, take it away.
Alrighty. I don't know what that is. So as you can see, these are some of the recent tracks that has been released, and you can also see the stores here on the back end. So we're gonna go to upload the music or upload a song. I'll show you that process here. All right, so a little different from the LANDR as far as what we saw. Immediately, and it hasn't always been like this, but immediately they show you the services that you have.
They got Roblox. That's dope.
They do have Roblox, and that is dope. They haven't always had Roblox, so that is a new thing, which is why it isn't checked off. So I'm gonna see. I may be able to go back into my music and add those particular stores. Interesting enough, they always say 100+ stores, and I have never.
What you gotta think about, it's other countries though.
Right. But what I'm saying is I've never seen the names, heard the names. It's always like this core, the Spotify, your Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon, Pandora, and then these are interesting.
I haven't seen any of those ones that are right.
But we're gonna move along. So let's just say I want to release a single. Of course, it's gonna ask, has it been previously released? We'll say no. It already has my artist name inside of here. So when you set up a profile, the first time that you release, it is going to be saved for the major platforms. So like as we see here, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Instagram, Facebook. You already, once you release, it's gonna be in the system, so you won't have to redo that. That initially, when you make your first release, it may take you roughly, you want to give yourself 2 weeks, because they have to get you in the system. And if you're a beginner, it's like a big waiting line. But once you're already in, you could literally wake up and be like, I want to post a song. And they may, in some stores, may be able to get it out in an hour or less. It all depends on when you release. You also have to think about operating hours from a business standpoint. So if you're trying to release something over the weekend, you may have to, if you want to release something over the weekend, you may have to plan for that early, because people may not be working to push that through the system over the weekend. So just little tidbits, just while you're thinking about being spontaneous. Another thing is, as you see, you have YouTube Music here. You don't have YouTube. I'm gonna go down at the bottom. They usually have a checkbox regarding YouTube, and I'm gonna speak about that. And that is topic pages of what I'm talking about. Oh, now, of course, here you have the release date. They tell you to do at least 1 week in the future for playlist. But remember, you wanted to give yourself at least 2 weeks so that if you haven't released anything. Okay, so you see my record label here is Billianos Entertainment. So it gives you the option here to then select, your primary and secondary genre, but you don't have to do a secondary one. Now I know Rock has said on his platform that the requirements were 1600 by 1600 px, right?
Yeah.
Or as you see here, they ask for 3000 by 3000. Um, you definitely want to make sure that your artwork is right. I would even say be on the lookout for something to bounce back for some platform when it comes to your artwork. There's been times where I've had to submit, like I've had to change my images a bit just to meet the requirements because it didn't work for all. So always have a sort of a guide. And Rock, we can leave that guide for them in the comment section,
Yeah, we'll leave a
or
link.
in the description. We
Yeah,
can
we'll
leave a
leave a
link.
link in the description.
Right. But yeah, you want to make sure you have that handy list of image requirements for all of your platforms, just in case you run into it. Because a lot of times when you're an artist and you're getting ready to release, you are just excited about the release. You're not thinking about, oh, they're gonna hit me back and say that my song was an MP3 and they needed a wave, or my MP3 didn't have the right bit rate, so now I need to come back and re-upload it. You wanna make sure, always give yourself a test run, especially if you're gonna be releasing for the first time. Give yourself a test run so that you know what you're doing, because I've seen it happen to many artists. They say, "Oh, I have a song coming out. I have a song coming out this Saturday." They don't have the artwork. They haven't even released it to the distributor to even be playing. But they just think because they have the distribution now that they can immediately do it. So always plan and give yourself room for failure. Give yourself room for setbacks. Be prepared, be available, be vigilant when it's release time. Be checking because it's going to send you emails to let you know, hey, this isn't right. This came back this way. As you can see, it'll say stores will reject artwork if it contains a website address, all of these different things, like Rock said, uh, some type of promotion, QR codes. You can't have any of those things in there. So you have to be careful. All right. As you see, very simple. They say, what's the song title? Um, you're not allowed to, so you are not allowed to put the producer in there. You know how usually back in the days you have songs just like such and such and then produced by. They don't allow you to do that in the song title for whatever reason. So be mindful of that, but make sure that you go down because you have featured artists, but they have the spaces where you have those who are contributors to the song. I'm pointing, but I have to point with the mouse. But you have the space where you have those who are contributors to the song, and that's where you want to make sure that everybody is getting their credit. I just want to go back here really quick. So just like LANDR, not as robust as LANDR, but you have the radio edit or other. If you choose other, they allow you to specify what you have. Um, I think that they should take a page out of LANDR's book and give you a drop down menu to actually show you what type of other versions of a song you can have. Having those things in the system, I think is great for the artist because it allows those who don't know to be educated through the process. So they give you the option to do Dolby Atmos and spatial audio. Did LANDR have that?
No.
So just those small things that different distributors have. I believe United Masters has something like this as well. We can check on that. And so, boom. Let's see what would happen if I say it's a cover song. Boom. I don't. I don't really do covers. He has encouraged me to do covers.
Very strongly.
Yes, and yeah, after looking at the license part and understanding that there's an opportunity for an artist to get paid while doing a cover song, I do have a change of heart. So I will look at that. Anyway, back to this. Of course, you have all of the things that it tells you how to be eligible if you have a cover song here. So this is good. Of course, the main thing: explicit lyrics, radio edit. Is it an instrumental? This allows you to pick whatever when someone's streaming your song or previewing it, you can choose specifically what part of the song that you want them to listen to. Always, I would say make it the hook, or if you have a catchy line, because you're only gonna have about 5 to 10 seconds or so before someone moves on or know if they're gonna like the song or not. Now, here is what I was talking about with producer credits. It's still to me, with DistroKid, it's still a bit tricky when it comes to that. There is a splits option outside of this that I can show you, but here's a space where you're able to give producer credit. Now, producer credits are not the same for each of the platforms either. They all show up differently when you're going to look at who when you go to look at the credits. Now, this I wanted to go back to what I talked about with YouTube. As you see, it said I had a YouTube music account, but it didn't talk about YouTube. Well, there's this thing here where you have YouTube content ID and creator music. Well, these are like the extra things that you pay for with DistroKid. I'm not sure if LANDR gives you these things as a one-time fee. However, DistroKid, you
No, it's
pay.
free. You
They
just gotta make sure that your music being released meets the qualifications
Mhm.
like very strictly.
Got you. Right. Yeah, they are very, very strict. And you have to do your due diligence on the YouTube content ID, creator music and shorts, music
But mine,
libraries.
but mine have been getting through though because on a couple of the episodes we released recently
Mhm.
where I put the song in the background, it did hit me for copyright. Now, like it didn't give me no strike or nothing,
Mhm.
but it did hit me for copyright for those songs being on there. It's not all of them, and I do put it on there for all of them
Yeah.
because I try to make everything as original as possible,
Mhm.
but everything didn't get through.
Okay. And now were these originals so that your originals had no issues?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, but once again, so you have this monetization and recognition. Now, for me, as I'm a different type of an independent artist, so I'm really big on ownership. As I told you guys before, I have my own ISRC codes. Uh, DistroKid, other distribution companies, they distribute ISRC codes for you automatically. They populate that for you. DistroKid takes, from my understanding, they get like 1%. They get 1 to 3% or something like that of your royalties by distributing that ISRC code or generating that code for you, but you can have your own. But these are the little things that you have to think about when you're taking ownership of yourself, because yeah, these are the things you have to think about when you're taking ownership of yourself. Because if you were bringing in $1 million a quarter, they're getting 1% of that, or 1 to 3% of that. In some cases, I know United Masters, before you can qualify for the highest tier, they may have a situation where they're taking 10%. So there's different levels that distributors take, and you don't think about it. You don't think about it when you're making the pennies, but when you're making big bucks, $100,000, $10,000 of being gone is major. That could go into the budget. Like that can be advertising,
Right.
and that could be a whole advertising budget that you won't even see because you didn't just take a little bit of extra steps to do things on your own. Speaking of doing things on your own, to my understanding, the content ID, these things with meta rights managers, these are things that you can go and do for yourself. For example, like Grace Note, some of these companies that you don't know of, but they're here. Some of these companies, you can go to them directly and create profiles. I always suggest whenever you're looking at things that the company is offering you and saying that they'll do for you and they're charging you for it and they're going to charge you a yearly fee for it, I would say look at if you can do that on your own first and save yourself the money. It may be a little time, but save yourself the money. Um, but if you like the convenience of having somebody do everything for you, you don't mind them taking it, fine. But just keep in mind what I said about that 1%. It's different when you're making large sums of money.
Large sums of
Um,
money.
so there's some new things that DistroKid added here outside of the Discovery Pack. So they had the store maximizer. Um, you know, that's okay. I feel like it's a money grab. I As I said before, they say that they have these 100 stores, but you never see what those 100 stores are. For example, we did see Roblox come up there, so the store maximizer would make sense for a thing like Roblox. I see here, okay.
Yeah, you were talking about the Leave a Legacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I was looking at the cover song licensing.
Yeah, so it's
Pay
$3
your song
less than LANDR.
$12 a year times one. Okay, so that's per song.
Yeah.
Now this Leave a Legacy. This is what I was talking about with DistroKid. So this it'll leave your songs distributed up there, and you don't have to worry about it going down. You still get your royalties as if you had a DistroKid account. Um, I think that's good, and that's a good way to part ways with the company and let the work that has been there be there. The other thing that I would say is it's in their interest to allow you to leave a legacy, because if they have distributed the codes for you, then they're getting those royalties. So it is in their interest to have you leave a legacy. And I will say, just being transparent, I wasn't paying attention and I was actually behind on renewing my annual subscription. However, although they let me know, they didn't really take my music. They didn't take my music down immediately. So you may have like a 45-day grace period or 45 to 90-day grace period by by not, if you don't do anything, you'll have a grace period basically. DistroVid music video distribution is something that is new. I think that it is great because it gives you the video distribution. Um, and if you're doing your thing and you're a real deal independent artist, this is a major move because a lot of these things, like especially Apple Music videos and Vivo, those things were extremely exclusive, and it still is exclusive. But now it's available to smaller independent artists and not just the mainstream one. The loudness normalization I've never used. I'm aware of the audio levels, the industry standard audio levels. My engineer pretty much takes care of that on the front end, so I never have to worry about that. Um, but uh, I will look into this to see if
It sounds like the mastering thing of the mastering aspect of LANDR. That's all it
right.
really
And
is.
then I did see up at the top here. I did see up at the top they did have a master track. Oh, when I clicked out of the back, they had master track. Okay, well, then we'll keep going on. So once again, on talking about the ownership part, I don't know if LANDR has this issue, but like this first one here, I selected YouTube Music, so I won't email DistroKid later asking why'd you upload my music to YouTube. Okay, so one thing that I see here with with YouTube specifically is there's this topic page. So I can show the difference. That's cool if we show the difference. I want to give them the difference of what happens when you go to YouTube real quick. Okay. So for for example, so I can type in Thrizzle. Um, I have a page here. Now I've seen things where let's see if I do Thrizzle topic. I've fought relentlessly to get these pages merged and whatnot, and they may have done it. Let's see. See, they right now they show me as just a regular. They show me as an artist, and what happens is you can. So this is good. So I don't have this example right now. I would have to find another. I have to find another page to show you uh, the difference. But for right now, I want to move along. So what happens is you can upload to YouTube directly. Right here, these music videos, if I were to show you in my back end on these music videos, it's separate on my channel. So I can't promote my music. These music videos that you see, I can't promote my music directly from my YouTube page. I would actually have to upload my music on my own, and then I can run a promotion. But I can't upload whatever I distribute. I can't promote whatever I distribute. So keep that in mind when it comes to YouTube music. If because if you want to promote a song on YouTube, you're gonna have to upload it yourself. For whatever reason, they create these two different pages, but you will have to reach out to DistroKid and YouTube to make sure that they merge your pages, your artist profiles. Okay. So now a lot of these things are, basic. That they're asking that you don't use promo services. If they find that you're using bots and whatnot, DistroKid will suspend your account. In some cases, in some cases, they would immediately like they would just kill your account completely. Sometimes they'll suspend you and just give you a heads up and let you know that something is going on. If they suspect that you're doing it intentionally, it's a wrap. Of course, then you have I recorded this music. I'm not using any other artist name. And you read the agreement. Nice. So then they'll kind of give you a preview. Your cover art will be here. Your track name will be there in the stores that it will be released. Once you do that, you will go to continue. Let's see if it'll allow me. Of course, they'll give you all of these errors, but that's the main thing about uploading on DistroKid. Uh, to go a little bit more deeper, I wanted to show you. Let's see here. So they have this option. They have this option with splits where let's just go back here. So this is an example. I'm just starting a new song. I've already done these, but so what you can do here, you add a collaborator. So let's say we got Rock Radio here. So let's go. And then so let's say we split the publisher share 50-50. automatically changes there, and then I could click review changes. Oh, email, excuse me. Excuse me. Is it Rock Music?
Yeah.
Boom. And then from there, you go into where you verify the splits. And so if they aren't a DistroKid member, then wow, okay, I can get them to come in at 50% off. That's okay. That's not bad. That may be a little hack for someone who's interested in wanting to try the DistroKid membership. Maybe ask someone to get you a coupon this way, and you can eat. So yeah, this is very basic though. You'll show this. Um, this will go to his email, and then he will have all the information, and they would give him all the information to get signed up with the bank and whatnot, and then he would get all of his splits, and they would show him the stats and things like that. But that about wraps it up for DistroKid for me. You have anything else?
So as we wrap up, I wanted to talk about just a couple of quick tips outside of the distribution service that artists need in order to have a successful release. And I'll say one thing just to make sure you have a rollout plan, like you're just not releasing music, that you're constantly on your socials and stuff like beforehand too. Um, his last release, Crown Me, we had this discussion where he wanted to release it immediately. And I was just like, no, let's take a couple weeks. Let's get a few videos shot. Let's kind of get the hype train going. And then afterwards, be consistent with the advertising of the music, running ads, making sure we post it every day and stuff like that. Making sure your cover art is taken care of. Before I had somebody do it, but once I realized the power of Canva, it's been a lot easier for me because I'm just an overall creator, right? So I don't have no problem sitting there just putting stuff together and just get better as I go along. So just making sure, like, if you're a DIYer like we are, just keep going back until you understand what it takes to have a good cover art. Because I've tried to sneak my uh IR not US code. I tried to sneak my QR code on there before. I've tried to sneak in websites and Instagram names on there before. So when I speak from that, I speak from experience in a way like you just put your name as an artist and the name of the song, and that's it. That's my tip right there. What are a couple of your tips to releasing successful music?
Um, Definitely, like you said, having the rollout. You know, I did want to release the song immediately and just push afterwards and work, but I did realize that you know people were engaged. People were like, "Oh, you got a new song coming?" Like, just people were just walking around and stop me and be like, "Oh, I saw this video. What you got? You got an album coming? You got a song?" They didn't know. They didn't know what it was, and so definitely building a hype or some type of interest, even if it's not a lot, just some type of buzz before you release your song is great. But what you do after you release your song is important. You have to do the work. There's like no getting around. There's no getting around doing the work at all. Um, Outside of that, as I emphasized earlier in the video about making sure you have a checklist or a list of requirements for image requirements, that type of stuff is important. Like already knowing what each of these platforms want beforehand is important because there can be some cases where you get a mix back and it's not in the right format. And so you want to be able to be flexible and know where you can go if you have to change an MP3 to a wave. There can be a case with me, my engineer's computer crashed. All of the music that we recorded was gone. So all I had was bounced tracks, and I had to change it from MP3 to wave, or from wave to MP3, um, and change the loudness, change the bit rate. Those specific things, you never know what you're gonna run into. So always give yourself some lead time for mistakes. I had a mentor of mine tell me, you know, do everything possible and then leave room for exceptions. And so that's what I will leave you with. Do everything possible, but give yourself room for exceptions, because you never know where the hiccup is going to happen. And every release is going to be different. I can tell you that.
And while you're releasing these songs, make sure you are registered with a PRO. ASCAP, BMI, hell, if you're good, CSAT. You know, if you know how to get into that. So make sure you're registered with the PRO so they can collect for your songs on your behalf. Also, for the sake of sync licensing, and that's the main reason why this comes to mind, make sure your metadata is right. Okay, make sure your songs are described through metadata. So that's all I'm gonna leave you with. Those are the last two tips. We thank you for tapping in with this video here on Roc Radio. And if you have any other tips, any other comments about distributing, leave them in the comments below. Like, follow, share, and tap in with us and watch that next video.